The night I spent my last $17, I didn't think I was buying time. I thought I was buying my sister's breath, and then a biker fell like a tree in the pharmacy lot. And everything I thought I knew about, right, wrong, and who deserves help, got real small, real fast. The manager in the doorway told me to move before he called the cops. The lady with the tight smile said, "Those people choose that life," and I was kneeling in leaking heat with a man turning blue, whispering one word I could barely hear. Aspirin. I ran inside, slapped my crumpled bills on the counter. No change, no receipt. Just a box shoved at me like I was the problem. Then 2 pills under his tongue. "Water, stay with me, big man. Breathe with me, you're not going anywhere today." The paramedics rolled in, slow and sure. And one of them looked at me like I'd just reset the clock. "Did you give him aspirin?" "Yeah." "You bought him minutes, and you know how rare minutes are when a heart is staging a walkout." So they took him. He squeezed my wrist like a promise. "Name's Gunner." And then it was just me again. Empty pockets, no refill for Mia, walking home with every step, feeling like a bill I could not pay. Our apartment is 3rd floor, hot and honest. It smells like fried onions and radiator dust. And I heard my 7-year-old sister before I saw her, that paper bag crumple of a chest, trying to lift air, that keeps saying, "No, my mom." Rochelle had her in her lap, whispering, "Please, baby, breathe." And when she asked where the inhaler refill was, I had to say the thing that breaks a mother and makes her proud. At the same time, I used it to save a stranger out front. I'm sorry I couldn't not do it. Lakeview General's ER was a bright room with a locked heart. Nurse Klein met us with policy, in a smile we can't dispense without payment. Choices have consequences. The way she said choices, like it meant poor. The way she said consequences, like it meant us. And then a doctor in scrubs. Alvarez on the tag heard Mia wheeze from the hall and moved in like a person who remembers why this job matters. Albuterol now, breath slowly returns, and as we're leaving, I hear Klein murmur to another nurse, "These people always have a story," and something in me stood up taller than my height. "You want to see a story? I've got video of me keeping a man alive with the last money I had." On the walk home, my mom stopped on the pedestrian bridge and told me the thing she'd been holding. "Your dad didn't leave us." Jaden, he drowned after pulling a toddler from a flood car. Darius Brooks, firefighter, EMT. A life is worth more than any amount of money, he used to say that. And the way the river under us felt like it was nodding, yeah, that happened. At 2:07 a.m., the cracked screen phone rattled. A voice with engine calm said, "My name is Walt. I ride with the Iron Saints. Your boy pulled my brother back from the edge. We'd like to come by in the morning." My mom said, "We don't take money," and Walt said, "This isn't that, this is something else, and I didn't sleep because you don't sleep." When a door just showed up in a wall you thought would never move, by 9:49 you could feel them before you saw them. Engines low and rolling neighbors in windows, somebody already live streaming, and then bikes lined like a runway. Not movie villains, not angels either, just citizens in leather and denim, with hands that fix things, and one man in jeans and a t-shirt, no vest. No show, knocked on our door, and took in the room like he understood the price of paint. "Walt, may I come in?" And he sat forward and laid out a truth that tilted the floor. "The man you saved goes by Gunner. His name is Eugene Hayes. He owns 2 logistics companies and a metal shop. He got clean 15 years ago after an overdose because a firefighter EMT wouldn't let him die. He's been trying to find that man's family ever since your father's name was Darius, wasn't it? You know that feeling, when a story you're living suddenly looks back at you? That was the air in our living room. And then the riders formed a path, and Gunner himself climbed our stairs. Careful, like he was carrying something breakable. He saw Dad's photo. He saw my mom, he saw me, and his voice came out rough and grateful. You acted with no promise the world would pay you back. That kind of math changes lives, and he hugged me like the past had a shot at repairing itself. The boxes weren't charity. They were respect groceries, stacked careful, a year's worth of inhaler cartridges labeled so no one would panic at 2 a.m., new backpacks and school supplies, an envelope with 3 months of rent, so my mom could breathe without doing arithmetic at the stove. And then Walt looked at my mom and said, "We want to do something else, not revenge, not noise, education." Nurse Klein needs to be reminded what her job actually is. My mom's back went straight like a ruler, nothing violent, no threats. "If you embarrass us the first wrong way, this ends," and Walt said, "Word of honor." At 2 that afternoon, Lakeview General heard 30 engines rumble to a respectful, idle security came out, with hands open. "We're here to thank a nurse," Walt said. The lobby got that hush right before a truth walks in. Klein tried to duck behind a monitor. Somebody said her name, and there she was, exposed by fluorescent lights and her own choices. Gunner spoke steady from the middle. "We want to thank you for showing us whether you work for a rule book or for people." And Maria, an iron saint, who's been a nurse longer than I've been alive, stepped up with facts. "Yesterday you turned away a 7-year-old with asthma this morning. You posted about these people inventing emergencies to steal meds, no heat, just receipts, and the room shifted. Patients whispering, staff staring. A director named Ms. Patel collecting statements like, 'Kindling, doctor.'" Alvarez called Klein into a back office. Administration moved fast. Once witness filled the air. Nobody chanted. Nobody pushed. We shook hands with nurses who'd been doing it right all along, and walked out with engines low, and a city thinking about the difference between policy and purpose. Back home, Gunner handed my mom a cream envelope that felt heavier than paper address of the Iron Saints garage. On one side, a check on the other. Not a handout. A vote, 60,000. For college, for options, for a different ceiling, and an invitation. Come to the garage on Saturdays. Welding small engines. Logistics leadership. We'll teach you what we know, and you'll teach us who you are. And I said yes, because sometimes your mouth is brave before your brain gets there week by week. I learned to measure with my eyes and listen with my hands, to talk to a room without shrinking. And 2 months later, we were standing on a vacant lot, I knew for all the wrong reasons. Watching a sign go up, future home of the Darius Brooks Community Hub, free clinic trade classes, a space to be from. And I swear I could feel my dad in the wind, like, "Hey, kid, keep going." Here's the part people argue about. 3 months after the lobby, Klein showed up in the back row of a community meeting. Hair flatter clothes, simpler eyes that finally looked like they could see. She waited until the room emptied and stood in front of me, smaller than I'd ever seen her. I was wrong, I was proud and blind. I lost my job and the friends who liked me loud. I deserve that. But I needed to say this to your face, and I had a clever line on my tongue. And then I saw Mia in the corner, helping a little boy tie his shoe, and I heard my dad like a chord that never leaves the song. You can be right, or you can be good. Jay? So I told Klein we run a free clinic. We need intake that keeps a line from becoming a storm. No pay yet, just trust. First show us who you are now. And she came back the next day, and the next, and the next. Humility is loud, if you listen for it. She learned names, chased paperwork, like a detective knelt to eye level with kids who sounded like Mia used to, placed inhalers in small hands with both palms like a gift. The ripple didn't stop, the hub filled on Saturdays. 12 kids, then 30, then too many chairs. We paired teenagers from the blocks with shop owners who taught them invoices and impact drivers and how to read a city council agenda. So nobody slips a bad ordinance past you. Walt told me we don't save people, we build tables and add chairs, and a year later when the governor handed me a youth leadership award under lights that made my hands shake, I dedicated it to my dad. To the stranger I couldn't let die in a parking lot. To the idea that doing the right thing costs you now and pays you in ways you can't count, yet my mom moved up at Lakeview because Alvarez got loud in rooms she wasn't in. Mia breathes easy and bosses everyone around about the last juice box like she owns distribution. And Gunnar sits in the back of class looking like a dude with a loud bike until a kid needs a quiet word about staying sober from old mistakes, and he says exactly the sentence that keeps them upright. The pharmacy manager who called me kid like it was a warning showed up once with a box of toothbrushes and a gift card. He stood in the doorway like a man who doesn't know how to say sorry, and maybe doesn't need to. The world had already said it to him for me. And when people ask if what we did at the hospital was justice or a public shaming, dressed up as virtue, I say I don't speak fluent. Think peace I speak. What happened, we didn't threaten. We witnessed administration, did its job because we did ours. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good growth is not a spa day, you know what I mean. So now it's your turn. Tell me what you think was the lobby, a line crossed, or a line finally drawn. Is public accountability a cure or just a louder symptom? Have you seen prejudice show up with a name tag and a smile? And what did you do next? Drop your take in the comments. Be real, be respectful. Argue if you have to. And if this hits something true in you, tap, subscribe. Tell me where you're watching from. Let's see how far a $17 choice can travel.